Hello, welcome to the channel. So today we will try to boot from the onboard eMMC, as well as try to boot from the micro SD card. So I do have a micro SD card here, so we'll try to boot from it as well. So let me go ahead and leave the micro SD card here. We'll first of all try to boot here, then try to boot here, and hopefully flash the image in the micro SD card, flash it into the onboard, so we don't always have to boot from the micro SD card. So that's basically what we'll try to do. Oh yeah, a couple connection. We have the USB connection and we have the serial converter. So you could see that we have the white, green, and black transmission, receiving, and the ground connected. So if you want to make your connection, that's how to do it. All right. And a few things that we'll be using here will be the this button here, user button, and the button here, the power button right here. So that's another button there. All right, so let's start. I am out of focus, but let's start. So typically, when you are building an image for this board, you partition. Look at my previous video. So basically, you partition. You have two partition, one for the boot and one for the root file system, and you will basically create or build an MLO file, U-boot image, configure your environment text and your DTB, device tree binary. Then what you will do is copy all these files to the boot partition and copy your actual image file or kernel to your root file system folder. Then you will try to boot it with the board. You basically try to enter, that's the manual way of doing it, inside the XD card, then boot from the XD card. And typically what happens is that the ROM will run first, then hands it over to the MLO, and the hands it over to the U-boot. Then eventually the system is able to read this text file and realize the kernel to load, and then it goes to the boot folder and actually boot from the actual image inside your boot folder. So there's a lot going on, and I actually attempted to see if I can make it work. I did make it work, however, I couldn't find a reliable way to create this, as well as point someone to how to make this without essentially copying what I have already. So it just didn't feel right that I know enough to talk about it. I could barely, but I will leave this for another video if I decide to do it. The way we would do it would be a better way, easier way. Let me not say better, but easier way to do it. So that way it's basically going into the BeagleBone website, and we will download one of the image. So let's go ahead and let's make this a little bigger. All right, so we'll go in the Beagle. So let me make this a little bigger. So we'll go on the official website and filter down to BeagleBone, so we can download this, and basically this file contains all those partition, and you can use a tool to flash the SD card and it will partition the SD card accordingly, which does a lot of the manual work that we would have done. And if you download this BeagleBone imaging utility, it's super helpful to be able to flash a device. So you can download this and use this imaging utility to flash your XD card. So that's essentially what we'll do. So I can click here, but I already have it downloaded somewhere. Let me see if I can find it. Oh yeah, right here. So I already had it downloaded right here. So I need to pull it up. Oh, right here. So now I would go ahead and I guess before we start imaging our XD card, let's go ahead and try to boot from the onboard, because the board came with an image already in it. So we'll go ahead and boot from this board right here. So in order to boot, let's go ahead and I think this is where this serial converter comes in handy. So let's go ahead and open PuTTY. So I do have it, so I can load it. So that's comport 9 and that's the baud rate. So I can go ahead and open that up. So essentially what this does is that it will show what is being booted. Let me put it on the side here. So let's go ahead and unplug this, plug it back, and hopefully we should, yep. So we are booting, and it's booting from the eMMC onboard memory. There's already an image that came with it. This booting surprisingly takes some time, to boot. But yeah, we are now booted, and if you look here, we have username and password, which is Debian and temp power. So we will just go ahead and enter that, Debian. Oh, it's not working. I think I had this issue before. So now we are booted, but let me go ahead and open, let me SSH inside the BeagleBoard. So in order for me to SSH into it, let me go ahead and go here. I guess how would you know that this is the IP address to SSH into it? Oh yeah, that's static. BeagleBone, the IP address is static, so it wouldn't change. So this IP address should also work for you. Let's see. Okay, so that's working. So now I'm getting this restriction here, and in order for me to, so it's warning, I've all right, so now I should be able, I don't know if you saw what just happened. So I sent so this is how I was able to resolve the issue that I was having. All right, here the keygen, basically resolving this issue with the conflict with the remote host identification has changed conflict. So basically resolve the issue with this command. I don't know much about it. Then I went back and sent and tried to SSH into the board again. So now it's seeing it. So if I hit enter, I should be able to get inside my board. So now let me go ahead and enter the temp powered. So now I am in. So now I can go ahead and, let me minimize this. Now I can go ahead and look up so now I'm in the Linux. I'm inside Linux right now in the board. So how do I know the version that I'm running? Basically the image version that I'm running on the board, eMMC. So I can go ahead and send this command, which is, I believe I had it here. So I can go ahead and send this command that give us a nice summary. I'll put all of these in the comment section or in the description. So basically grabbing all the information of the image, the Debian version and all of that. So this is what the board has, the version of the board has. So let's go ahead and copy this. So we will keep an eye on that. So this is onboard image. So this is what this is what we had. So our version was version 8, and we had the Debian image, and we had what else do we have? It was a 2017 image, right? So we now know that our board has some image running, and we can get into the Linux environment and we are good. So now let's try to boot from the micro SD card. Remember, I have already image. I guess I need to image it. So let's just flash this out and image it with a new image. So I'm going to put it on my SD card reader for my computer. So now it should be coming up. Let's go ahead, and if you have your image etcher, so the BeagleBoard imager, if you already have it plugged in or downloaded and installed, so all you have to do is to select the BeagleBone Black, go next, and if you have a preference on an image that you want to flash, you can select it locally, or we can just pick one from here. So you know what, let's go ahead and pick one from here. So we'll pick the Debian version 12. I see 13 here as well, so let's go ahead and go with the latest and greatest. So I see 13.6.18 looks very recent, and this is STI. Let's see, so this is with no desktop environment, that's fine. No desktop environment, so this is 13.6.18. that looks like the latest and greatest. So we'll go ahead and install this. Now it's showing two partition here, so which one should we go with? USB. Let me unplug my SD card and see which one stays. So when I unplug my SD card, notice that the Linux file storage is still there, but if I plug it back in, so we know that my SD card is definitely this. So we'll go ahead and choose that, and we can set up the username and password. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's do AU, and I will go ahead and do this password right here, and that's it. That's the only thing that I want to set up. So now I don't have to even change any configuration, which is great. So I go ahead and write the image. So I'm pretty much writing a new image on my XD card, and if we remember correctly, we are writing the image text. All right, looks like we have successfully flashed it, which is great. Let me go ahead and remove the XD card from my device, and I can go ahead and I'll go ahead and unplug. It's okay, I'll just put it here. So now we have the XD card there, and let me do something here. Let's go ahead and minimize here and also show here, because whenever we start booting, we should be able to see our boot information on this console here. So let's go ahead and so I'm going to shut off the board essentially. So this is the button to shut it off. We should be able to stop seeing the light, the green or blue light. I basically held it, so now it's off. Board is off. So now I need to hold this button. The reason why I'm doing this is I need to boot from the XD card. So I will need to hold the user button here. Then I need to tab on the power button. Then it should start booting from the XD card. I'm surprised that nothing is showing here. Okay. Now I'm not sure if it's booting from the SD card or if it's booting. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, yeah, it's booting from the SD card actually. Yeah, that should be fine. Perfect. Yeah, that's good. Let's get this down. All right. It looks like we are done booting. So if you notice, it took on our username. Remember, we created this username, and the um, date of release for this image was 2026. So I kind of made it look super easy, but this took me about a, a approximately half a week to try to figure out, because I went down a rabbit hole of literally trying to build my own image and add it to the partitions and configure the configuration pattern. But I guess the new process of using an imager makes it super easy. Um, Trust me, it wasn't like this a few days ago when I was trying to fight through it. But yeah, we basically have booted from our XD card, which is pretty amazing, right? Very amazing. So um, so now we can log in. Let's see if I still have access to this power. Yep. Okay. So we already lost access to that SSH section. So let's go try to SSH back into the device. So now it's screaming again because literally I have changed the image. So it's screaming. So I can go ahead and send in that right here, this SSH keygen, and add it back to my keygen. And I can try to SSH back again. And I can say yes, go ahead and let me in. And I can go ahead and put the password. I still remember the password that I used, which is good. I hope I still do. Uh-oh. Permission denied. Try again. So let's try the default password. Maybe that will let me in. Oh yeah, so it didn't let me in. So what I will do now is to try to reboot again. I've seen this has happened. It didn't take in the password, so I have to reboot again. I think the last time I had to reflash the image and not give it any password. So let's go ahead and reboot again. So I'm going to hold this once more to power off. The good thing about this serial converter is that you see all the events that is happening to the board. So now it's shut off. So now I'm going to hold this user button and press on the power button, and it should boot from the XD card. So now it should go a little bit quicker. Converter console. I still cannot interact with it, which is not great. All right, so no problem. Let me SSH into it once again, I am in. Let's go ahead and add the password that I created. Hopefully that lets me in. Yeah, why? So let's go ahead and put in the default password. Please let me in. Yeah. Oh, I forgot how I was able to fix this issue. There's probably a way to fix this, but I don't have that patience. So what I'm going to do is remove my SD card once again. I'm going to re-image the SD card and not pass in a password. I had this same issue, but so I'm going to select this. I believe that's the same image. I'm going to go next. I'm going to turn on my SD card, select it, go next. So this time I will not have this. I had this same issue before, but I'll pretty much and go next and go next, and I should be able to re-image it again. So now I'm re-imaging it without password configuration. All right, we are all flashed and ready to go once more. All right, I think let's see. I think I can just pull it out actually. All right, so let's go ahead and put it back here. And before I turn it back on, let's get our console working here. And I think it should boot from the XD card. Hopefully it does. If not, then we'll redo it. That was a little quick. Maybe it's booting from the onboard image. Yeah, okay. So that's the SD card. So perfect. Let's keep going. All right, that booted quick. So if you notice, my username is now the default Debian, and looks like password is temp powered. So I don't think it will let me type it in here. So yeah, it doesn't let me type it in here. So let's go ahead and SSH. Whoa, what happened? It's rebooting again. Let me go ahead and SSH and see if I can see those console coming in. Yeah, something happened and it started rebooting again. So now the SSH is not open. The kernel is not running to accept. Okay, perfect. We are booting from the SD card. I know that because of the version of the image, Debian version or Debian version. So when it's done booting, then we can go ahead and SSH. I think I slammed the table way too hard and it lost power and started rebooting, which is not good. You shouldn't do that. This stuff run things that moves quite a bit, so I'm not sure why it did that. All right, we are booted, so let's go ahead and SSH, and now we are it's warning again. Okay, let's try to see if we can use that right here, keygen, and try to SSH again. So now I can go ahead and do yes. And now I can type in the default password, and we are in, right? Okay. Oh, okay. So because we are using the default password, it want us to create a new password. So this is the new password. Will be type new password. All right. Ooh, password update successful. Okay. So let's try to SSH again and type in the new password. Please get me in. Perfect. All right. So now we're in. So now let's go ahead and just double check. We know that this is going to be right, but let's get the version of our image again and see. Then etc should have a space. Here we go. Okay. All right, so now I can go ahead and double check, compare this side by side. Okay, so this is when we run it with X. So currently what we have in the SD card is version 13, while what we have in the onboard is version 8. So I think I'll stop right here. At least we have demonstrated how we are able to boot from the onboard image as well as the SD card image. I was going to show how to, basically, if you prefer this image, replace this image with the onboard memory, eMMC memory. Basically, so you can boot this image without needing an SD card. So, but that might be a different video. So let's go ahead and stop right here, and I would talk to you later. Bye bye.